I'm Gerald Kapanos, born on June 23rd, 1981. I enlisted in November 2001. That's when I officially took my oath and began my enlistment. I started basic training in January 28th, 2002. First and foremost, September 11th had just happened. This was in 2001. My main motivation was figured our country was going to war, so they needed bodies. So I volunteered to be fodder. My specific path, I came in with what's called an open general contract. I didn't pick my job due to whatever reason, availability and everything. So I came in with an open contract. In my 6th week of training, they gave us our orders. Everybody who didn't have a job assigned, they gave us our orders to whatever school we were going to go to. At that time I was picked for Security Forces, which is AFSC, or Air Force Specialty Code 3P071. So Security Forces is basically a military police. I got my first assignment the day I graduated, and it was to Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada, part of the 99th Security Support Squadron. Part of my enlistment contract that I had, there is no bonus, which is typical. At the time I enlisted, most people had bonuses, or at least the career field I came into, but there wasn't at that time. That wasn't a motivating factor for me. It was to serve in time of war. The other thing was I was aware of the Montgomery GI Bill and other educational benefits. Those weren't primary focuses when I enlisted, but I was aware of them. With the Montgomery GI Bill, once, and this is everybody who joins, once you get into training, you actually have to purchase the GI Bill. It's not a standard thing that you get. So once you enter into training, you have to make a decision, and you decide whether to pay for it or not. And if you decide to pay for it, like myself, it was $100 for the first 12 months of service. So I paid $1,200 to receive my education benefit. But the way they explained it, you pay $1,200 and you get back $25,000 or whatever the value of it is. So it's a pretty good investment, and nothing really gets that kind of return these days. So growing up, it was never, oh, you need to join the military or everyone else has. It was more of a personal decision with me. There was no pressure other than our country had just been attacked, and I was pretty pissed off. Wanted to do something about it. Talk about ego and adrenaline, carrying around, 18-year-old kid. Well, I was 20 at the time, but 20-year-old kid carrying around a assault rifle with ammunition and explosives, and just waiting for something to happen. So I loved it. It was fun. The camaraderie was awesome. The guys you work with, very tight-knit group of people, and you develop a bond with those guys that are closer than anything else I've experienced in my life. When I originally enlisted, I enlisted for 4 years, and that was the only option I had at the time. When I was given my assignment to Security Forces, they said that we were allowed to, or I could voluntarily up my contract to 6 years. And that's where that bonus would usually come into play, and it wasn't there. While I was in Nevada, the whole spin up, getting ready to go to Iraq, was going on. Then in 2003, in March, I was tasked with 12 other guys to head to pre-deployment training, or desert warfare, at the Desert Warfare Training Center in Indian Springs, Nevada. So we went to that. It was a 2-week course, and just basically brush up on your skills and prepare to go to war. Once I had gone through that school, I knew and they had told us that we were going to be leaving soon. Took off from Baltimore, Maryland, June 22nd, landed in the Middle East on June 24th. So spent my 22nd birthday on the airplane. But spent 6 months there and came back. And in UAE, I did the same job that I did at Nellis. It was guard airplanes, and came back in November of 2004. There was a spot open on this deployment team, and they could not fill it, and it was to Camp Bucca, Iraq, which was a prison camp. And I had known some people who had been there before, and they said it was a hard deployment, but it was I don't even know why I really wanted to go, but I knew it was going to be a difficult assignment, but my unit, my squadron had needed the opening, so I had volunteered. After the training, and it was about a month and a half or so. After the training, then we got a ride and flew up to Kuwait. From Kuwait, we flew into Iraq and did our time. Camp Bucca it's called a FOB, or Forward Operating Base. All they had was a helipad, and then they had the prison on one side and the living area on the other, and the helipad was right in the center. I've never rode on a helicopter before that day, and I'd always envisioned riding into combat with the helicopter in the movies and getting shot at and everything. And it was kind of funny. It just isn't what you think it was. It's not like the media, 'cause at that time they were telling us, the bombings every day and the war's hot and heavy, and here I am arriving at the camp and no big deal, like another day in Iraq. Once we got in there, they just showed us where we were going to work and who we were working with and what time to report, and basically we started working from there. And every day at work, say it was the same, but each day was different, and that different things happen all the time. But it's like a common saying, hours of boredom broken up by seconds of terror. That's what it was. So started working at the prison camp and did that until I left. While I was at Camp Bucca, it was a detainee facility, and detainees are a hot topic with the media these days. What do we do with them? What are they? What's going on? What's the deal? Are they prisoners of war? Are they not? Whatever you want to take on the position, I don't know. What I know is, like, a detainee is a person detained, and they are deemed to have been a security risk to whether it be Iraqis or U.S. coalition forces in Iraq. And they go to this collection point, and the collection point is where I worked, and we housed these guys. While I was there, I think there's 13,000 of them. I think the number has grown since then. But anyway, they were broken up into different camps, and my job was basically to house and guard to make sure that they stay in this one area.